computer. Yeah, we are recording. So welcome everyone. Today, 10th January 2021, and we are again meeting for continuing the reading of the book Silence, The Power of Quiet in the World Full of Noise by Thich Nhat Hanh. And it's not a promotion of book. It's not a promotion of any religion. We try to use this book as a launch pad to test the waters right here and see what it means for us. So today we have Naman in the group. So before we start our first 1 minute exercise, I would want to read that paragraph a little bit again, and then we get into it. So the first exercise that we do of mindful reading is very simple. And that's the foundation of what we always start with is I am here, I am free, and I hear you. So what does author say about it? The author says, what does I am here mean? It means I exist. I'm really here because I'm not lost in past, in the future, in my thinking, in the noise inside, in the noise outside. I am here. In order to really be, you have to be free from thinking, free from anxieties, free from fear, free from longing. I am free is a strong statement because the truth is, many of us are not free. We don't have freedom to allow us to hear and to see and to just be. So this is what the author says about it, and this is with which we start our first 1 minute mindfulness breathing exercise. So everybody please find a comfortable position. Try to keep your eyes closed or low focused, whatever suits you. Start with the biggest exhale, and I will lead with some sentences. Don't mind them coming in, but then try to stay in the silence till I call out that 1 minute is done. So with the first few breaths, I tell myself, I am here. With next few breaths, I tell myself, I am free. In the now, I'm completely free. And with that freedom, I hear you. And we slowly open our eyes and come back fully to the session. If need be, we stretch, we look around, we feel the space in which we are here in this session. Naman, this was your first time, very small 1 minute activity. Do you want to tell anything about this now?
No, so it was like very starting. So still, I think it will take time for me to get into that session mode of
Yeah,
mindfulness.
yeah.
So I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
all good, all good. When I attended this for the first time, it was very awkward for me to sit in 1 minute. Everybody suddenly crazy people closing their eyes, don't know what they're doing, right? It becomes very, hi, Krish.
Hi,
Okay. So I think we will get started. Last time, I'm not sure if you guys had an opportunity to look at the recording, but we started speaking about or reading about the smorgasbord of stimuli. And there we touched upon 4 kinds of nutriments: the edible food, the sensory impressions, so our senses, the volition, which is the motives or the will, which gives us a direction to act, and consciousness, where the author says there is internal consciousness and collective consciousness. So me as Jamin, my consciousness, and collective consciousness, for example, in this meeting, the collective consciousness that we as a group share. So we will continue reading so he's now breaking up all of these nutriments into details. So now he started with edible food. So we will start there. Most of us are aware that what we eat affects us how we feel. Foods can make us feel tired, crabby, jittery, guilty, and often only momentarily satisfied. It's a powerful statement he's making. I'll read it again. Junk food can make us feel tired, crabby, jittery, guilty, and often only momentarily satisfied. Fruits and vegetables, on the other hand, make us feel energetic, healthy, and well-nourished. Often we eat something not because we are hungry, but to console ourselves or to distract ourselves from uncomfortable feelings. Suppose you feel worried or lonely. You don't like this feeling, so you open the refrigerator and look for something to eat. You know that you aren't hungry, that you don't need to eat. You find something to eat anyway because you want to cover up the feeling inside. When we have a retreat at any of our practice centers, we offer 3 healthy vegetarian meals every day, lovingly prepared with mindfulness. Still, there are participants who are worried about food. I have a friend who, when he first came to a mindfulness retreat, could think only about when he was next going to eat. For the first 2 days of the retreat, he was hungry all the time. And he didn't like the fact that there were lines for meals. He worried that the food would run out, even though it never did. Usually he would leave whatever activity he was doing early so he could be one of the first in the lines for the meals. On the 3rd day of the retreat, this friend was in a sharing group where he was able to talk about some of his feelings about his father, who had recently died. And he got a lot of support from the group. The group ran a little late, but when he got to the meal line, he realized he wasn't anxious. He had a feeling there would be enough food and he would be okay. And then the author says, I'm very glad we didn't run out of rice and vegetables that particular day. Right? So I'll read one more nutriment, which is sense impressions. So sensory food is what we take in with our senses and our mind. Everything we see, smell, touch, taste, and hear. External noise falls into this category, such as conversations, what we are doing, entertainment, music. What we read and the information we absorb is also sensory food. Perhaps even more than edible food, the sensory food we consume affects how we feel, which is all the binging, all the Netflix, all the serials, everything. We may pick up a magazine or go on the internet looking at pictures and listening to music. We want to connect and be informed. We want to enjoy ourselves. These are fine reasons to consume sensory food. But often our real purpose in those moments is simply to run away from ourselves and cover up the suffering inside. So we want to connect and be informed. We want to enjoy ourselves. These are fine reasons, he says. These are fine reasons, right? But often our real purpose in those moments is simply to run away from ourselves, not with any problem. The author is saying we want to just run away from ourselves, what is, and cover up the suffering inside. When we listen to music, read a book, or pick up a newspaper, it's usually not because we truly need that activity or information. We often do it mechanically, perhaps because we are used to doing it, or we want to, in quotes, kill time and fill up the discomforting sense of empty space. We often do it mechanically, perhaps because we are used to doing it, or we want to kill time and fill up the discomforting sense of empty space. Many of us are afraid of going home to ourselves because we don't know how to handle the suffering inside us. That's why we are always reaching for more and more sense impressions to consume. I'll read that sentence again. Many of us are afraid of going home to ourselves because we don't know how to handle the suffering inside us. We don't know how to handle it. That's why we are always reaching for more and more sense impressions to consume. Then he says in a very different font, we are what we feel and perceive. If we are angry, we are the anger. If we are in love, we are the love. If we look at snowy mountain peak, we are the mountain. While dreaming, we are the dream. Again, I'll stop here because for me, it was a lot of information. And the last part, what he said, we don't want to trust it. Do we see it? I mean, it's easy to say, oh, when we see a snowy mountain, we are the mountain. We are not, I mean, but the last line, what he says is very impactful, where he said, while dreaming, we are the dream. Maybe that gives us the possibility to look at it from a perspective, what he's trying to tell, that when we are angry, we are the anger. So like we compare it to while we are dreaming, we are the dream. Yeah. Anything anybody wants to say from what we heard?
It reminds me of a lady that they were talking about, that he was talking about previously in the book,
Yes.
that her daughter wanted her to go to the temple and meditate, and she just couldn't afford it because of the silence.
Yes.
I think it was that reason she didn't want to. And I think a lot of people do that.
Yes. Yes.
Even I've done it.
Yeah. Oh, I just had a double choco chip cookie today. I didn't need it. I just had it today, right? So I can understand that part.
Yeah, the comfort food. Oh, definitely been there, done it. I don't know how many times. But also,
The sensory.
I've consciously kept myself busy,
Yes.
doing things, reading, doing a puzzle, or whatever, just to get thoughts out of my mind.
Yes. Yeah.
When I was getting a divorce, especially, I bought my first puzzle to concentrate on the puzzle, just to get myself away from all that was going on inside of me and around me about the divorce, for example.
Yes. Yes. And that is exactly what he's trying to tell us over here, right? That the real reason, maybe the real purpose in those movements is simply to run away from the self and to cover up the suffering inside.
Yes,
right?
And that's exactly what I was doing.
Yes.
With
Yes.
the puzzle.
Yes. Yes. But then what he's also telling is that momentarily helps us, but in a bigger picture, it makes us more miserable. That is what he's trying, like junk food, for example, right? Overall, it makes us jittery, guilty, depressed. Momentarily, it keeps us sane, is
Yeah.
what he says. But yeah, in a bigger picture,
Fortunately, I had my therapy to not get to work on that part
yes,
also.
yes. No, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Alessandra. Anybody else? Any thoughts from what we heard? We heard edible and sensory food, nutriments. We will go to the others next time, maybe. But any thoughts that come across to you?
To the point when the author says, like the last line, when you are dreaming, you are the dream. So I kind of feel or can relate to something like it's the subconscious that you are. You might suppress it how much ever you want to voluntarily or involuntarily. But at the end of the day, it's there deep inside you somewhere, and that's the person you are. You
Yeah.
cannot run away from it.
Yes.
So yeah.
That's a powerful thing to say, Piyush. So not to run away from self, looking at the self as it is in real, not as I want to be, right? I mean, many people usually ask me if I have to write an autobiography, what will be the title of my book? Most of the people who know me know this, right? That the dog I am and the saint that I want to be, right? So the dog I am, I need to look at that completely first, not that the saint that I'm partially trying to be. So, yeah. Anybody else? Naman?
So what I could not understand was like when the author is saying that when there is like a snowy mountain, you are the mountain. So what it is saying is basically when everything is going good, you want to be the center of attraction, something like that.
No,
Like,
no. What he's trying to tell is that when you look at the mountain, like you look at the dream, this is what I feel. What he's trying to tell. Yeah. Anybody else? Please, please pitch it. What he is saying is that whatever you view the world is based on your thoughts and conditioning and knowledge, right? The way you look at a mountain versus how Ekta would look at a mountain could be completely different. Which is the reality then? The reality for you is your image of the mountain. And that means you are that. Whose image it is? It's your image. So it is you. It's not the mountain.
yeah.
So when you're listening to Jamin now, it's not Jamin because you have a particular image about Jamin speaking, but that's just your personal image. Then it's not me at all, right? It's nothing to do with me. It's about my impression in your head, which is absolutely, completely only you. For example,
Okay.
if you see me in dream, am I there? No, it's your dream. It's owned by your thoughts. So it is you. It's not me at all, right? That is what maybe he's trying to tell. I look at it that way.
Okay.
Anybody? Anything? Ekta.
Yeah, okay. I mean, nothing to add, but yeah, just wanted to share what I was thinking. So, okay, I could actually relate to the first part with the junk food, definitely. Yesterday itself, I had pizza and I was having exactly the same guilty feeling of having so much of cheese, which was definitely not necessary. But yeah, the second part about the sensory, it had a lot of things which, yeah, I think I might want to, or I would actually want to go through the recording again to hear it
Yes.
because it had a lot of things and not everything I could understand in one go. So, but definitely, I was for example, the example that the author took about newspaper, that you pick up a newspaper. So yeah, I also do that very often. But I was actually trying to understand, is it, if it is mechanically that I do, or I want to, so that I have to actually observe my behavior.
Yeah.
If it is, if I want to kill my time, or I am trying to run away from something and that's why I'm doing it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It is up to us to look into ourselves for sure. And I think, yeah, maybe the sensory thing is important. And maybe if we feel as a group, next time we again start reading that and then go to the next one, right? So we will do two at a time, maybe. Yeah, sure. Krish, Rashmi, anything from your side?
Nothing from my side much, but I think not only the junk food, but sometimes sensory food also makes you feel guilty.
Yeah.
So
The
I have
doctor, yeah, sorry.
I have the example. Yesterday night, I just reached home from office and I had something to read. But all of a sudden, I was watching TV and I turned on Amazon Prime on my TV and I watched The Prestige, the movie.
Yeah.
It was complete. I was completely happy. I was just watching that movie for like 2.5 hours, 2 hours. But after completing the movie, then I realized, okay, it's already 12 a.m. in the morning. Why I watched it? Actually, I had to read it. Then I went to bed. So that time I felt okay. I just wasted the time actually. But while watching the movie, I was recalling my old days back in 2009. I watched this movie actually. So I was thinking, okay, I was in that house and I was watching that movie on my small computer. That reminded me, okay, it was good. But after completing the movie, I felt different.
Yeah.
Happens. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think one line I will read based on what you and Ekta said. Maybe that connects something to us. I mean,
Yeah.
last recording we discussed that. I think I missed it out while doing it this time. That all of these foods can be healthy or unhealthy, nourishing or toxic, depending on three things. The first two were very intuitive for us. Third one was a finding while I was reading this. So depending on what we consume, I ate cheese too much, maybe too much. So how much we consume, right? But the third element is, and how aware we are of our consumption. So even while what and how much and what we consume is going wrong, maybe the third element is way more powerful than the first two. While consuming, how much are we aware that we are consuming? Like Ekta said, is it mechanical, the newspaper, or purposeful reading, intentful reading for knowledge of news? That is maybe the most powerful entity there. Maybe that's the most powerful entity. Okay, good. So I think what we do is, if no further comments, questions, let's go into our 5 minutes. And even today, the 1 minute for me personally, I don't know, and we'll discuss this later also, the 1 minute became too small for me now. It became very, very minute now. When we started,
Yes.
the 1 minute was big, right? So we start with 5 minutes and we continue with the nourishing. So this all will converge into eventually the nourishing practice. So I will read the nourishing for the starting few minutes. Feel free to ignore me and try to enter the silence as much as possible and see if you can be comfortable. Don't judge. If the thoughts come, look at them. Don't tell, no, I should not be thinking, because that is what we learned last time as well. It's a thought. Yeah, just look at it and see if it slows down on its own. Don't force. So find a comfortable position. Exhale as much as you can. And with the closed eyes or low focused eyes, we start our practice. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. Breathing out, my breath grows slow. Deep, slow. Breathing in, I'm aware of my body. Breathing out, I calm my body. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. Smile. Release. Breathing in. I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out. I enjoy the present moment. Present moment. Enjoy. Breathing in. I enter the silence. Now we slowly try to open our eyes and return back to the session. How do you feel?
Didn't wanted to get the silence broken.
Wanted to?
The silence, I mean, it was like feeling so nice.
The silence was nice, but at the same time, there are like 5 parallel world going inside your head.
Yes. 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 Was the 5 minute very long for you, Naman, or very short? Or did 5 minutes feel like 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes was like a good duration. It didn't feel very small.
Krishnakant, how much 5 minutes felt for you today?
Comparatively, like initially when we started, it was long, but today I feel very like compatible with it because the thoughts were very less today for me, because I'm doing since last, I think I didn't attend last 2 sessions, but I was doing some practice at home at least. So 5 minutes were enough, at least not to reach at the peak, but thoughts were less. I was focused on the breathing actually, so that helped to get into that area. Yeah.
Alessandra, Ekta, how long were the 5 minutes today for you?
It was good. Maybe I kind of wanted a little bit more, but it was good.
Yeah. Okay. For me, 5 minutes felt like 5 minutes only, but yeah, 1 minute was really short. So that time I was thinking, okay, we just started and the alarm went off. But yeah, 5 minutes was fine.
Piyush?
Yeah, for me, normal 5 minutes. Like, so earlier it used to be somewhat, yeah, maybe I could say I felt longer, but today it was like normal 5 minutes for me.
Rashmi, I'm not sure if you are able to unmute yourself and speak, but if you can, speak up. Okay, good. Yeah, for me, 5 minutes, as I was discussing last time, I put an alarm so that I don't. She's saying it's getting a little bit better than before. I have started counting my breaths to avoid thoughts. Okay. Monkey mind, give it something. All right, good. So for me, the 5 minute feels very, very, very short, extremely short. Like maybe what some of us experience with that 1 minute. For me, 5 minutes feels very short. So I have to. And as Piyush says, I mean, in my language, I feel it. I feel the silence very tasty. So it's very hard for me to break out and ask a question out of it. But because we are in a group, we have to continue. So I do that. But it's very. I want to cling to it a little more. So that is what I feel. But let me stop the recording. Any questions from anybody before I stop the recording? No? Okay. Then I stop the recording at least.